Welcome back to the Just Fantasy Baseball podcast. My name is Rami, Lavi. That's Vince Damato. You got to switch that around a little bit. And I am fired up for this episode because I don't know. I just think this is going to be an excellent, one of the best episodes we've done. I'm extremely fired up. You might have to hose me off when we get done with this episode. I'm not even kidding. That's how revved up I am right now. The Yankees just lost. They suck. Headlines, the Yankees suck. Other headlines, Ranger Suarez in his last 2 starts has allowed 11 earned runs. He had allowed 11 earned runs total in his previous 9 starts. So that guy coming back down to earth a little bit. Although Luis Gil had a great start tonight against the Red Sox, who we thought he was coming back down to earth, goes 6 2/3, gives up 1 run on a solo shot and 8 strikeouts. So 9 strikeouts, I think. So the Yankees really stink. I mean, that Ben Rice performance on Saturday, you thought they had something. That could have been the spark, right? And don't capitalize on it. I'm mad about it. What's up, Vince?
Well, all-star rosters were announced, so that's pretty exciting.
Is it?
Some obviously. I'm sorry.
I said, is it?
I think so. I'm not as excited as you are. I'm a little tired. It was a long day for me.
I'm exhausted, dude. It's a holiday weekend. I haven't been at home since I just got home for the first time since Wednesday. So
yeah, I'm trying to catch up on as much baseball as I can. I'm upset about some snubs, which maybe we'll get to here in a little bit. Obviously, there's always a couple snubs in the All-Star voting, right? People want to see X, Y, and Z guy. But that being said, I'm still excited for the All-Star game. You know what I miss?
The fan voting system sucks, by the way.
I'm sorry.
Here I am again about to get on my soapbox. The fan voting system sucks. I'm sorry. There shouldn't be, just because people in Cleveland and Kansas City have nothing better to do with their lives, they shouldn't be getting more All-Stars than the Yankees and Red Sox and the Orioles. Okay, you want to say the Yankees don't deserve to have that? First of all, Luis Gil has had an All-Star first half. Soto and Judge have had an All-Star first half. Those are obvious ones, and Gil didn't make it. But I'm sorry that guys in Cleveland have there should be at least 5 All-Stars from the Orioles, and there's 3. So why? Because people in Cleveland and people in Kansas City have literally nothing going on in their life, so all they're doing is going to vote. I've been to Middle America. There's nothing to do there. There's nothing going on in Cleveland.
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. Okay.
No, that was a real city. There's nothing to do in Cleveland. So
I was going to say, I miss when they used to wear their uniforms during the games.
My God. They're my talking points. This is amazing. You're getting
What a regression that was. Who decided on that?
I wanted to tweet out this picture the other day. I mean, it's so beautiful. Let me find it. I'll show it to you. It's everyone lined up, and this picture, I'm not sure what year this is from, but first of all, the fact that it's the old uniforms, so it's before they changed them to the nasty uniforms, and look how clean that looks. If you're watching this on YouTube, just look at that. You got Harper in the Nationals uniform, Markakis in the Braves uniform, you got Matt Kemp. Why are Markakis? I guess that was the starting lineup and then the reserves. That's why Freeman's separated from Markakis. That must be what that be.
Yeah, Paulie, Goldschmidt. That's a beautiful
beautiful
lineup right there.
Arenado right there, and then Javi Baez in a Cubs uniform in front of him. And they're wearing the specialty socks, and they have the what's it called on, but the uniforms themselves. And then when they used to take the pictures, and you'd get that picture of everyone lined up, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Dude, it was just beautiful. It was beautiful, and it's not anymore. And it's a big part of the All-Star game, it feels like, from our childhood. And not even just from our childhood, but one of the parts of the All-Star game that was unique to baseball, because you could only do it in baseball. You couldn't do it in any other sport, because obviously you can't do that in hockey. Obviously you can't do that in basketball or football. So it's the only sport that you can do it in, and you took it away, Major League Baseball. Why? For the greed of selling a few more All-Star jerseys. They would wear them to the Home Run Derby. It used to be flipped. Now they wear their regular jersey to the Home Run Derby. I don't care. I don't want to see them in the regular jersey. Wear the warm-up ones to the Home Run Derby. That's fine. I'm cool with that. The image of Josh Hamilton hitting those moonshots in New York. I mean, I was a kid, and the All-Star game came to New York. I went to Fan Fest. That was I met Big Papi and A-Rod and Yogi Berra there. It was and Jeter. It was a super cool moment for me as a kid. Going to that, I was 10 years old, right? And then I got to sit and see Josh. I didn't go, unfortunately, but I was in New York City watching on TV and watching Josh Hamilton hit those moonshots in the freaking American League jersey. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then the All-Star game the next night, Like, obviously Corey Hart catches the fly ball in the outfield. That was the sac fly to win the game for the American League. And the 13th, 14th inning, he's wearing his Milwaukee Brewers jersey. Like, man, seeing Jeter in a Yankee jersey standing next to like Dustin Pedroia in his Red Sox jersey and then like combining on a double play, it was one of the coolest things.
I don't have much of a follow. I was upset. I don't have a cool story like you do. I didn't get to meet everyone when I was a kid like that.
I met Blake Snell in 2018 when it was in DC. I wasn't a kid at the time. Like, I was already older, but I went to the home run derby and Bryce won it with his dad in DC. And it was super cool. And his dad's jacked and awesome. And me and my father were there, like watching it together. And I met Blake Snell there. And he told me, hey, I'm pitching the third inning tomorrow. I'm really fired up. And I was like, that's so cool. And then when he pitched the third inning, I was like, oh, he actually. And that was, if you remember, that was like the year 2018 was the year he broke on the scene. Like, nobody really knew who he was before that. So again, yes, I have a couple of memories. I don't, you know what's weird? What year was it at Citi Field? Because I have zero recollection of that All-Star game. That was Mariano Rivera's last year of his career. So it must have been like 2012. And he came into
2013.
13. Okay. Mm-hmm. That makes sense because Jeter's last year, I guess, was 14. I have zero recollection of that All-Star game in person or live. And it was in New York. It for some reason, like I strongly, vividly remember like when the All-Star game came to New York. To me, that's 2008. And 13, even though it was Rivera, the big entrance, I remember it, but it wasn't like special for me. Like, I remember my guy Sal Licata caught a Bryce Harper, actually, of all people, but caught a Bryce Harper home run at the home run derby in 2013 at Citi Field. But I don't have like a Citi Field. Maybe because like I wasn't as New York oriented. I was more of a Yankee specific fan. I wasn't a Met fan at all. I've become much more of a Met fan. We'll get into that as the episode goes on. All right. I feel like I've rambled and we haven't even talked about fantasy baseball. Do you have anything you wanted to talk about, or should we get into the waiver wire?
No, I think I'm ready for the waiver wire. What do you got? What are you going to start with?
Do you want me to kick us off? I could kick us off.
Sure.
Give me a quick second while I pull that up for you. I have a guy who I think could be the MVP of the week, and he's only rostered in 34% of Yahoo leagues. And that is Luis Garcia Jr., the second baseman from the Washington Nationals. Do you know what he did in the last week?
No, tell me.
He had a 455 on base. He had 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 5 runs scored, and a stolen base. And he's rostered in 30% of leagues. Like, run, don't walk, run, and pick up Luis Garcia Jr.
Good call.
And a premier position at second base. Like, that's a position where you're not getting a ton of production.
My first guy, I had this before he went down with an injury today, and it does kind of hurt. So maybe this one should be saved for next week, but it's a little late now because I already started. I'm just so excited for this guy to be back. That's Parker Meadows for the Detroit Tigers. Finally back. Had a great showing at AAA when they sent him down because they had a horrible start to his MLB career. But in 3 games back, he's already got a 3-game hitting streak, including a home run and a stolen base. So, again, we were expecting big things from Parker Meadow this season. Didn't start off like that, but I absolutely think he could be in store for a great second half of the season. But he does look like he's going to go on the 10-day IL. So just keep your eye on him. Maybe pick him up and throw him on your injured list if you have an extra spot. Just hold on to him for now. But Parker Meadows, I think, in for a big second half here.
Do you know how long he's going to be out?
It just says it's likely to go on the 10-day IL. I'm assuming he'll get evaluated more tomorrow. So
I should mention that I should have mentioned this at the top. So Luis Rengifo, who's having like this all-time great year, eligibility at all positions. One of the guys I think we talked about a bunch.
Yep.
Goes on the IL with he didn't break his wrist. Something happened. He got hit by a pitch in the wrist, right?
Right. Yeah. Just inflammation.
So it was just inflammation, but there was a fear that it could have been ligaments. So, but if it's just inflammation, it's weird that he went on the 10-day IL.
Could be with sorry, go ahead.
They're trying to trade, you know what I mean? Who like they would want to trade. It's weird that they would put him on the IL. Maybe they're trying to be extra safe with him, extra cautious ahead of the deadline. Come back after the All-Star game, and then we'll ramp you up and get you traded. So just a little bit of a little different thing there, Rengifo. You ready for the next waiver wire pickup?
For me?
Oh, I could give it, but do you have something on Rengifo?
Just that he's hitting 315 with 22 stolen bases. I mean, he's had a great year. It's too bad that he's hurt. He's been a phenomenal player.
And he's been linked a lot to the Yankees, I saw in trade rumors. So, I mean, with a bunch of teams, obviously, with the Angels being out of it and whatnot. And he really only came on once, obviously, this was early in the year, but once Anthony Rendon got hurt, he wasn't even supposed to be a full-time starter. My next two are guys who are most leagues are picked up. I will give you that. But if you haven't picked them up yet, like, I don't think we've talked about them enough. And if you haven't picked them up, I don't know what you're waiting for again. Mark Vientos is the first one. He's going to be playing every day for the Mets. They'll find spots for him. First base, third base, doesn't matter. In the last month, he has a 3.04 on base with 6 home runs, 17 RBIs, 15 runs scored. But most of that has come in the last 2 weeks. 333 on base, 12 RBIs, 5 home runs, 9 runs scored just in the last 2 weeks. This guy can hit at the big league level. He's proven that. And like I talked about so many times, this lineup is so potent offensively. And I said I was going to, become a big Mets fan. Anyone in that lineup, you see Lindor with the big hits today. Alonso named to the All-Star team today. He had a big hit the other day. So, like, again, if you're in that lineup right now, you're going to get production opportunities because that lineup rakes. I know they didn't rake the other night against Paul Skeens. I know Skeens was a little bit, that picture came out from the white party of Olivia Dunn with like 3 really big-time athletes, and I was like, uh-oh, Paulie boy might be in trouble because I'd pay to watch that triple team go down. And I don't know. He came out on fire. Something must have gotten him riled up, not shocked. And he came out. He's like, oh, yeah, you think those guys are better than me? And I saw a great picture. It was like a thing. It said it was a picture of her standing right next to Joe Burrow and Paul Skeens on the other side. It says, you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. I don't know how I pulled that up so quickly. There's something wrong with me, but look at that. Come on. That's pretty funny.
That's pretty good.
Oh, man. If you're not watching this episode on YouTube, you should be. All right. Who's your next waiver wire ad?
Sure. So my next guy's pretty popular. He's been a popular guy since he came up. And I wasn't rushing to get him because I didn't know if it would translate or how well it would translate. And that's Jhonkensy Noel, third baseman for the Cleveland Guardians. Huge power. I mean, we've always known this about him as a prospect. But
another team that's also just raking, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And you want to talk about getting good mentor, like having a good mentor. Is there a better one than Jose Ramirez in baseball right now? Like, I really don't think so. So, Noel, I think, is in a perfect spot. He's already got 3 home runs and 24 plate appearances or at bats, I should say, but also 11 strikeouts. So maybe in points leagues where strikeouts hurt you, he's not a great pickup. But most leagues, I don't think are like that. I would probably go and grab him at this point because he only struck out at a 21% clip in AAA this year, which is down significantly from his career in the minor leagues. So maybe there's something there, and he's just got to get adjusted to pitching a little bit in the major leagues. But again, he's got huge power. The Guardians look like they're going to play him. So I would go grab him right now if you could.
My last guy could have been my MVP of the week. Maybe should be my MVP of the week. But as of right now, I have so many options for MVP of the week, and I didn't want to cop out. So, I guess he's just going to be an ad for me for now because this guy had a ridiculous week. He wasn't even fully on my radar. And that's Taj Bradley from the Tampa Bay Rays. Do you know what he did this last week? 16 strikeouts and 11 2/3 innings and 2 starts, had a win, a .77 ERA, and a 1.03 whip. His last month, he has a 1.29 ERA and 45 strikeouts and 35 innings. We talk about all the time. We talk about the Rays, just having these pitchers come out of nowhere and just become incredible starting pitchers. Taj Bradley, he's the next one. You know what I mean? And would you be surprised? So Taj Bradley, hats off to you. If he's not owned in your league, he's owned in 65% plus of leagues. If he's not owned in your league, again, this is a must add immediately because what he's done the last month is I'm not talking about ace. I'm talking about top 3 level pitchers in the league stuff.
I will argue too. I think Taj Bradley is not a guy who came out of nowhere. He's been a top pitching prospect for probably the last 2-3 years now.
That's where you and I differ. Mm-hmm. Where I'm a big baseball fan, but I'm not looking into dynasty leagues, and that's why it's important that we do the prospect report that we do. it's for moments like this where you're like, hey, this guy
He's been legit. Yeah, it was actually kind of weird.
That validates it more though, because you're
Yeah.
telling me now that this is not just the hot streak. This is not just a guy who popped off. This is a guy who's going to sustain this. He's expected to do this.
Yeah, and I think if anything, he could be a buy low still, because he came up last year and he had a 5.59 ERA in 104 innings. People are like, oh, maybe he doesn't have it. And then he started off a little bit slow, but now that he's picked it up, he's 23 years old. Like, this guy's going to have some bumps in the road, and if he figures it out, I mean, he absolutely has ace potential, or maybe like high end SP2 potential. Taj Bradley is legit. Don't get that confused. My final guy for the waiver wires this week, a little bit of a deeper league play, I will say, but has potential to certainly move up, and that is Juan Yepez for the Washington Nationals. So Yepez was a guy last year I was kind of all over in a lot of leagues when he was with St. Louis Cardinals. I thought, okay, this guy can rake. Didn't really work out for him. He didn't have a great season in the majors last year, and now he's with Washington. He had an okay season so far in AAA. His numbers look good. He's got good power. And now that Joey Gallo's out, Yepez is going to get a little bit of run. So far, he's already got a 3-game hitting streak. No home runs yet in the major leagues, but he's hitting 333. And they say that when Gallo comes back, Yepez is going to get sent back down. I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't the case. If Yepez continues to hit, I absolutely could see him making a case to stick for the Washington Nationals in their everyday lineup.
Like,
I'm sorry?
They're going with the youth movement, Washington.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
like this, there's something there, and they're actually playing really well. So why would you interrupt that with the guy who, like, who cares?
He's hitting 160. Gallo's hitting 160. Yes.
I mentioned Luis Garcia also. Like, they're hers who pitched today. I know he didn't have a great start, but like, again, it feels like Washington is kind of picking a direction. Like, hey, we're going with the youth movement, and we're actually playing well.
Yeah. If you're a Nationals fan, there is no excuse for them to continue to run out Joey Gallo, especially if Juan Yepez continues to hit. And so I think he's an ad, or at least a speculative ad, because again, if he continues, I don't see him leaving. I really don't. But even if he does, he should give you some production until he goes back down. So Juan Yepez, good pickup right now.
Yeah, and that's part of it. Like, I think, like, if you're a Washington fan and you look at that Juan Soto trade now a couple of years removed, we won the World Series, and then we hit the reset button. And what you think, like, in 2 years? I know the Braves are still really good, and they're still in that division. It feels like Philly's window is probably a couple more years, but if Washington could own that division 2 years from now again. You know what I mean? Like, that's super cool. Like, seeing the youth movement in DC, and like, this team is like fun and young and cool. So that's pretty awesome to see. And a lot of these guys working out, like Mackenzie Gore working out, like these guys working
CJ
out.
Abrams, yeah.
And obviously, Wood, it's Wood, right? James Wood.
James Wood, yeah.
Yeah, he hit his first home run. So, again, that's working out.
I bet San Diego wishes they could take that trade back now. They would love to have Abrams.
Because it's a stupid thing to say, because they gave up Juan Soto and they weren't successful.
Yeah.
So it's obvious that they wished it.
Right.
They regretted it by trading Juan Soto away. They obviously regretted it. Like, and that's what somebody made a great point where, like, you'd think if you give up all that for Juan Soto, at least you'd make an attempt to retain him, to sign him to that big contract. It felt like they never even let it play out to the point that they were willing to sign him to the contract. At the time, so many people said, oh, this is such an advantage. You'll have him in for 2.5 years, and then 2.5 years, and then you could sign him to the big contract. It ultimately turned out to hurt the Padres the extra time, because it felt like maybe if there wasn't that much time left, maybe if it was just a year, maybe if it was just 3 months, A, they wouldn't have had to give up as much, and B, maybe they would have said, okay, fine, it didn't work out year one with him. Let's sign him to a long-term deal and see what happens. It felt like it got sour over the course of that 1.5 years, that by what was supposed to be the second full year of Juan Soto, they already bailed on it, and that's kind of rough.
I wonder if it has to do because of the fact that they're so broke.
Yeah,
I mean,
the owner died, and and that whole situation, it sucks. It's a sad situation more than anything, to be honest. But Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, they threw these that's why I saw that they might be trying to get rid of Xander at the deadline. They might be trying to ship off Xander Bogaerts at the deadline.
Good luck trying to find a team that's going to take his contract.
Right, exactly. He's hurt, and he has this albatross of a contract.
Right.
So, and they're not. But my point is that they're in a playoff spot right now.
Yeah.
And they're trying to trade away Xander. And I know they've played well without him, but the point is they can't afford him.
Yeah.
And like, how much of that contract would they have to eat to get rid of him? You know what I mean? In order to get something of significance in return. So, it's a sad situation, really, more than anything. And I don't know if they're looking to sell or anything like that. But yeah, that's all.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to some streaming pitchers?
You know what? Before we get to the streaming pitchers, I want to make a decision on this right now.
Okay. What do you got?
I was just sent a trade. He actually just sent it.
Okay.
So let's
live trade. On the episode.
He texted me earlier today. We talked about it a little bit. But this is my team. I'm just struggling right now a little bit. The trade I made earlier today, it's pending. I trade away James MacArthur for JD Martinez.
Okay.
I told you I'm not winning the saves category any week. James MacArthur was only good for saves, and I was just consistently losing the category anyway. JD Martinez in that lineup can be, and he's in smack in the middle of that lineup. He could give you top flight production. Again, the season's not great for JD Martinez, but 351, 10 home runs, 37 RBIs, 24 runs scored in not that much time. I feel like the production numbers are going to be there for JD, especially in that lineup, sandwiched between Nimmo and Alonso and Lindor and all those guys, and Francisco Alvarez, of course, and we even talked about Vientos. I just feel like it's a great spot, and I think Martinez didn't have a great week, but I feel like he's 2 for his last 18, 2 for his last 22 now. That's not going to continue. That's not going to be who JD Martinez is. He's a better hitter than that. And so I feel like this is a lock for me. Like, it's such a great floor play. You know what I mean? That JD Martinez is just going to, even if the Mets bottom out and he gets traded, even better. He'll get traded to a contender,
Yeah, I think that's an absolute steal.
I think I gave up more. I think I gave up more value. I really do. Like, I think James MacArthur and saves are probably more valuable than JD Martinez's production. But I think his consistent production for me and what my team needed versus a guy who's producing in a category, they were empty saves. It was a category that I was losing every week anyway. To me, I think the trade made sense. And we talked about sometimes you might lose a trade. This is one of the first things I said on one of our first episodes. You might lose a trade to win a championship. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes the value that you get is not the value of your player, but if it helps you in whatever the category is, or in X, Y, and Z, maybe you have a positional need that's really bad. Yeah, I absolutely get that. I think that's 100% true.
Are you ready for the trade that was just offered to me?
What do you got?
And it's going to hurt my heart if I make this trade. The trade is Bryce Harper, who is having an exceptional season. 399 on base, 20 home runs, 58 RBIs, 52 runs scored, 4 stolen bases. And that's with the fact that he missed the last 10 days and was hurt. Like, he's having just a regular Bryce Harper season, just an awesome, awesome season. And he's going to be activated. He could be activated as soon as Tuesday. But I just need more volume at this point. And the offer is Randy Arozarena, who on the year, 313, 11 home runs, 11 stolen bases, 29 RBIs, and 37 runs. But remember how slow he started. We talked about him a lot, that he started so slow. And he picked it up. And the other one, another guy, and you're going to make fun of me about this, Matt Olson, who I told you, don't pick him up, don't draft him, don't draft him, don't draft him, don't draft him. And I stand by it. Like, his season is solid, but it's not great. 321, 12 home runs, 41 RBIs, 38 runs scored. But it almost feels like his season's so bad almost that he has to have a better second half. I could end up getting top flight production at first base and an outfielder who's better than what's currently going on in my outfielder for Bryce Harper.
This is a 12-team league?
12-team league, yeah.
And what else you got in the outfield right now?
My current outfield, I'll pull it up for you, consists of Spencer Steer, the dude Yoshida, Lane Thomas. I'm streaming Sal Frelick because I have so many guys hurt, including Bryce. Like Brandon Marsh. Like, come on. I could use the outfielder. So now add JD Martinez to that mix. So I'm probably going to drop Frelick or whatever and plug Martinez in,
I mean, you may hate me. I would hold Bryce Harper.
I don't hate you.
I would hold him.
I trust your expertise. Tell me why.
Mainly the counting stats. Philly's offense is just absolutely,
and you don't think
cooking.
That Atlanta's offense can turn it on?
They can, but they haven't given me any reason to think that it's around the corner. Versus Bryce Harper coming back on Tuesday. He's missed games, and he's still on pace for probably 110 to 20 runs and RBIs. So 240, 250.
38 home runs.
And you're exactly right. 35 home runs, 300 average. Like you don't know if you're going to get that from Matt Olson. And again, I love Randy Arozarena. I think, he's going to have a better second half, but if you're going to trade Bryce Harper, I think you need more of a guarantee in my opinion.
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I think Bryce Harper is one of the top flight. I told him when he initially reached out for a trade, he said he's looking to do a 2-for-1 deal, trade 2 players for 1 player. I'm looking for Vaughn. Like I said, I'm looking for Vaughn because look at that. Like Yoshida's a streamer. He's not a real starter.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Frelick is a streamer. He's not a real starter. Like these guys are not real starters. Brandon Marsh is a streamer. Now, when Harper comes back, when I plug JD Martinez in, Frelick and Marsh are out. So it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So as much as those guys are streamers, and I still, like I said, I'm still holding out on TJ Friedel. Like he's also on my IL, and Xander Bogaerts is supposed to come back soon. So things are going to move around. You know what I mean? Like Josh Smith can move to one of my outfield spots when Xander comes back. So it is looking up for me. And I think the JD was a great trade to boost my offense. You talked me out of it. I was going to do it. I was like, there's so much upside with those 2 guys. And I think you're right. I think I'm looking at my lineup today and saying, I need more than 1 body and Bryce is not enough. But now if I look forward and I see, okay, maybe Xander comes back, Bryce comes back, and you plug JD in, I think you're right. I think you're right.
And that there's a reason too why I asked if it was a 15-team league, I'm a little bit closer to pulling the trigger because I think the replacement value, especially in outfield, there's going to be guys who you can grab. I mean, again, Parker Meadows just came up. Juan Yepez came up. Miguel Vargas could be out there. We see James Outman came back up for the Dodgers. Again, I don't know if he's going to play, but I feel like the replacement level is good enough in 12 teams where I wouldn't be too concerned. You can stream outfield.
By the way, that's exactly why the guy who traded me, that was his logic today. He told me, I'm willing to trade you JD because there's other streamers that I could stream that could give me similar value, whereas I can't get those saves.
You can't get that saves, right? Exactly.
And so that made me feel like, I devalued MacArthur. But at the same time, like I said, MacArthur was valueless to me, whereas JD is extremely valuable to me. So, like, that's where it depends on my personal. And I don't know, maybe you would have told me not to do that trade if I had asked you first. But I in the moment, I felt like it was a good trade.
No, I don't think. I think if anything, making that other one makes more sense. I mean, just looking at my 12 team, Dalton Varsho's out there, Jorge Soler's out there, Starling Marte's out there, Kerry Carpenter. I don't know if Jason Dominguez is ever coming up, but he's out there. I think there's enough value out there.
I agree. Okay, I declined the trade, so I rejected it, and hopefully he listens to the episode tomorrow morning when this comes out. Talk about your pitchers stream. You said you have 2. Give me your actually, I have 3, so let me start with 1.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Dean Kramer is pitching against your Cubbies on Tuesday. Dean Kramer, his last time out, he came back. He had missed about a month, and he came back through 5 innings, got a win, 8 strikeouts, no runs. So Dean Kramer, he's rostered only 29% of leagues against your Cubbies. Good Oriole team, bad Cubs team. And so that's that. Yeah, there you go.
That's your reasoning. That's all you need. I love it.
He paired with Rooker and Olsen. It doesn't matter. Rosarena, Rooker, potato, right?
Sure. My
right. So I'm finding also is my point.
Sure. My streaming pitcher is also on the Orioles, also pitching against the Cubs. And he is going to throw against them on July 11th. So that is Thursday of this week. And that is Albert Suarez for the Baltimore Orioles. 34-year-old. He doesn't have the high ceiling. He's got 65 innings and 51 strikeouts, but he's got a 2.48 ERA, and including that, 2 straight quality starts. One against Texas and one against Oakland. The Cubs are not a scary offense right now. They just aren't. They're barely scraping by. They're definitely one of the worst offenses in the last month and a half of the season. Albert Suarez is on fire. This looks like a tasty matchup for Albert Suarez.
All right. I have one more from the New York Mets, as always. Christian Scott is starting. He's back up, and he's starting tomorrow, or today as you're listening to this, Monday, against the Pirates. The Pirates offense that hasn't looked like they've been able to do too much the last couple of days against Mets pitching. So I like Christian Scott to come up and have a nice start against the Pirates on Monday.
My next one will be on Friday. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, we're going to have Luis Ortiz pitching against the Chicago White Sox. Today. I'm sorry?
Great start today.
Yeah, exactly. And that's his last 2 starts combined, 12 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts, and 1 earned run against Cincinnati and the New York Mets. And he's efficient, 85 pitches and 86 pitches in those starts. Again, I'm not expecting him to go out and throw 10 strikeouts, but I could absolutely see a quality start. Feels more probable than not. Again, Luis Ortiz feeling good, 2.95 ERA on the season, 2 quality starts in his last 2 starts. I would absolutely throw him against the White Sox this week.
And my last one, I just told you how much I love the youth movement in Washington, but unfortunately, it can be inconsistent when you have a lot of youth. So I like Miles Mikolas, who's been a good pitcher at times, to go into Washington and have a good start tomorrow. I know he struggled this year. The ERA is 5.19. That's not very good. And I don't even think he's been good of late. But I don't know. When I've had these gut feelings so far, they've worked out this year when it comes to the pitchers, streaming pitchers. So I like Miles Mikolas against the Washington Nationals on Monday.
I just picked up Mikolas to hopefully get a 2-step this week because I like that start on Monday as well. Yeah.
Who's he going against the second time? Sorry, I didn't look that far.
I want to say, you know what, I should check because I don't remember. I remember it not being the best matchup, but I thought to myself, the first one's good enough. Oh, no, it's the Cubs. No, he's good.
Oh, there you go. He's good. Yeah. So that's a good week. You could get a good week out of him. And by the way, just so you know, Shane Baz is starting on Thursday against the Yankees. So I love that spot for Shane Baz. I mean, I love all the great starters this week. Pepio is against the Yankees on Tuesday. Wednesday, it's Eflin. And then Thursday, it's Baz. I mean, sign me the fuck up. Like, I think those guys are all going to dominate the Yankees this week. The Yankees can't hit for shit. You know how many pitches the dude threw? What's his freaking name?
Oh, I saw that. Your tweet. I saw that. Yeah.
33 pitches through 4 innings against the New York Yankees. Cutter Crawford did. Like, my God. How pathetic can you get? You ready for MVP of the week?
I think so. Are you?
I'm ready. I'm still between 2, so I'll let you go first.
My MVP of the week is I felt like I had to put this guy because I know there's a lot of all-star snubs, and
he's number one all-star snub. Yes.
I don't know if he's number 1, but he's definitely one because honestly, I think Christian Walker maybe is number 1.
That's what you were talking about.
No, it's not. I'm talking about Jake Irvin for the Washington Nationals.
The guy
who back to the Nationals.
Oh, I told you to stream. But don't
forget. Did you check out? Sorry. Did you see his July 4th start?
Yes.
It was phenomenal. 8 innings pitched, 1 hit and 8 strikeouts, just 1 walk. Absolutely, against the Mets nonetheless, who are on fire right now. Jake Irvin looks like an ace.
There is a caveat there, sure. If I may.
Sure. Yeah, please.
11 a.m. after a night game the night before.
Fair. That's understandable.
I've been to those 11 a.m. Nationals games on 4th of July many times.
Yeah.
I think I've gone probably 3 or 4 times in my life. I mean, there was one time when I think it was scoreless going into like the 14th inning, and Bryce Harper had a walk-off home run because we were already leaving. It was like 4 p.m. and it was back before the pitch clock. It was like 4 or 5 p.m. and the game had started at 11 a.m. But yeah, it was day game after night game. I think it was a Thursday. I think it was the same exact thing. Oh man, I puked at that game. Anyway,
No. The only other thing I was going to say is, he had one hit against, Jeff McNeil, the only guy to get a hit off him. I honestly think if he didn't have that hit, if Jeff McNeil didn't get a hit in the third inning, Jake Irvin would have went on and thrown a no-hitter. I mean, only 99 pitches. I'm not overly shocked that they took him out, but
and of all people, freaking Jeff McNeil.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, Jake Irvin is a stud, and he deserves some flowers. If he's not going to get it from, the MLB All-Star Game, he's going to get it from the Just Fantasy Baseball podcast. So I'm sure he's listening in. He's a longtime listener. Jake Irvin is. So love you, Jake.
Fine. So let's stick with the theme. Let's stick with this theme. And a guy who was a total snub, should be the starting first baseman for the National League, and that is Christian Walker. 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, 8 runs scored, and a 5.33 on base in the last week. 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, 8 runs scored in a week, and a 5.33 on base. Actually, it's make that 9 runs. Christian Walker is my MVP of the week. The dude is an absolute stud. Honorable mention because I feel like I should. Because I shit on this guy so much in my life, and it's really the last 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, Craig Kimbrell has 6 appearances, 6 saves, 6 innings, 11 strikeouts. He's been good for and 0 earned runs. I think his whip is a 0.5, so he's like giving up like 1. I think it's 7. I think he's 7 for his last 7 with 13 strikeouts. I'm pretty sure 7 for his last 7 with 13 strikeouts in 7 innings. Dude has been money good. So Craig Kimbrell, hats off to you because he's one of the guys, and I hope he keeps pitching well. Here's why. I hope he convinces the Orioles that he's the closer this year. And that, no, you don't need to go get Mason Miller. You don't need to get – because come playoff time, if it's a close game and it's Yankees-Orioles in the playoffs, I would be salivating, waiting for Craig Kimbrell to come out of that bullpen in the 9th inning because I don't trust him at all to close out the game. So I hope he keeps pitching well right up until the All-Star break so that he keeps his job. But my real MVP of the week is Christian Walker.
I would love to see a Craig Kimbrell closing out a game against Boston or something in a game 6. I think that would be phenomenal. But good call. We don't do enough relief pitchers, so good call. I like.
Yeah, that. I know. That's also another thing where like I'm so off it because I've talked so much about like my personal league and me like literally punting on saves. So when I saw that he's been so good for the last couple of weeks, I was like, I feel like I have to give him his flowers.
Yeah.
What's your lock of the week?
My lock of the week is, again, you kind of have to have been following him a little bit because you look and you're like, oh, well, why would this guy be your lock of the week? He had a horrible start on his first start back. That's Gavin Williams, pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians. He pitched against the White Sox nonetheless on July 3rd, and in 4 innings gave up 5 earned runs. It was just not a good start for him. The reason why he's my lock is he's pitching against Detroit tomorrow, and then Tampa Bay later in the week. Again, if you've been following Gavin Williams, you know the type of upside that he has, and it is ace upside. I mean, this guy has one of the best stuff or best arms in all of baseball, and that's not an overstatement. I mean, he has it. He's just got to get comfortable with it. And we saw Shane Baz come back and dominate in his first start. And that's not, the case for everyone. Gavin Williams maybe just needs a start or two, and I'm willing to roll the dice. I mean, he is an absolute lock for me, again, because of the potential that he brings. Is it going to happen this upcoming start? Maybe not, but I'm willing to take the risk, and I think he absolutely should be a lock in your lineup if you have weekly lineups because you get 2 starts from him this week. I'm sorry, what was your question?
Who's he pitching against?
Detroit and Tampa Bay.
Oof, yeah.
So, not 2 offenses I'm particularly frightened by, especially Detroit. And again, potential for 2 quality starts, and this guy could rack up the strikeouts. So, don't be surprised if this time next week you see, 12 innings pitched and a couple earned runs, but, 15, 16 strikeouts, because I'm not going to be shocked at all. And don't miss out on that if you can.
All right, I got this guy counter offered again, so we'll talk about that in a minute. My
Sure.
lock of the week, because I'm doing this because I love my fantasy league, is going to be JD Martinez. JD Martinez had a down week, but he is going to be back. He's going to be back at home. First of all, a full week. So no Monday day off, no Thursday day off. Monday game in Pittsburgh. All right, love that. And then the weekend series is against Colorado and their shitty pitching. And this week he's going to be playing against Washington, the team we just talked about, at home at Citi Field, back in the friendly confines. By the way, I misspoke on the last episode. I apologize to everyone in advance, or I apologize to everyone who listened to the last episode. I kept thinking that the Nationals were home. I knew the Mets' next home series was against the Nationals, and I also knew that the Mets were going to Washington to play the Nationals. So I confused that multiple times and kept saying that the Mets were hosting the Nationals last week. They're hosting the Nationals this week. They played in DC, obviously, last week and over the weekend, or the holiday weekend, because on the 4th of July. So, my bad. Doesn't it feel like it's been like an everlasting weekend for the last,
Yeah.
And I work on the weekends, but I don't even know why it makes a difference to me. So, my lock is going to be JD Martinez. I think he's going to get hot again. I don't expect him to have 2 bad weeks in a row. I think he'll get fat on Washington and Colorado pitching over the week and weekend in Citi Field.
All right. I love it. Let's hear that trade you got.
Olsen, the same trade, Olsen and Randy, but for Alec Bohm. Do you realize Alec Bohm has 70 RBIs already?
No. Wow. Now you're talking, though. Now that 70 RBIs, though, is pretty phenomenal.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, that is pretty nuts. But
so I said I would do it theoretically. He said he thinks it's an overpay because Olsen will get hot at some point. I'm like, well, there's no guarantee. And that's the one thing. I keep waiting for Bohm to get cold, and he's been consistent all year.
The 70 RBIs, I think, is just the surprising part. But I expect him to hit, the 296 he's hitting is certainly not out of pocket for him. I think Alec Bohm is certainly capable of, hovering around there.
70 RBIs is insane.
Yeah. But again, that's the kind of production you're going to get
because of that line is
healthy. Yeah, exactly. And so can you make those RBIs up with Olsen and Cowboy? I think so, right? I mean, if you add up, what do they got so far? What's Olsen at?
I think they're both in the 40s.
Matt Olsen, 42. Yeah. And so Randy's probably, I don't even know if Randy's going to make it to 40 already. Is he?
I think he's high.
29, 30. So call it 30. So 70. So you're making up your RBIs with those two guys. You get a little bit of speed, maybe with Cowboy.
Probably lose a little average with the two of them.
Yeah, that's true. That is a good point.
It's on base league, but Olsen's on base has been so down this year.
Maybe it depends. I mean, which categories?
Olsen's going to turn around.
I'm sorry?
All right. He said let him sleep on it, leaning no. I think if he's leaning no, I'm fine with that because I'm fine with him not making the deal.
Yeah.
But I think I would accept that trade.
I think I would too.
I'm not sure. He's making it sound like, oh, he's not sure. I'm still not sure. But I think if he did sleep on it and came back and said yes, I think I would say yes to that trade. So if he hears this in the morning, I'm okay with that.
I mean, that one feels a little bit more fair. I don't like the Bryce Harper one.
Disclaimer to the whole league listening. I know sometimes it feels like I'm using the league for content. I'm not. I want to win. I'm trying to win. I just happen to also use it for content.
You can be both, right?
Yeah, no, I really first and foremost, I'm trying to win. I'm not. No, because some people get mad if I'm wasting their time and I'm just going to throw trades out there because then we get to talk about it. No, that's not why I'm doing it. I think that's a good trade. And it happened if this was on a Tuesday, then I probably would have texted you for your advice, but we wouldn't have saved it for an episode. This happens to be going on in real time.
I thought I had a trade, but I got declined, so that's fair. I don't have the content for you right now. I'm sorry.
What was the trade? I'm curious.
I offered, Dynasty League. I offered Jose Ramirez and George Springer because I'm not going to be competing this year for Austin Riley and Jackson Holiday.
Oof, I like that, but you got the point.
Wanted to get a little bit younger at third base, buy a little bit low on
problem there
Riley.
both your guys are young. Both the guys you're asking for are younger. So like
Riley's 27. Yeah.
but he's younger than Jose. Jose's what?
Jose's 30, 31. Yeah, he's 31. He'll be 32 by the end of the season.
Right, so like, and then Springer's really like you're not getting much out of it. If you get anything out of him this year, that would be a blessing. You know what I mean?
He's
like
been hot.
he's been on way, but like, you really expect more than this year out of him?
No.
So and if that guy's trying to win a championship this year, I get it.
No, I understand. How about this one? Because I did get this
Riley and Holiday for the next 5 years plugged into your lineup, like killing it for you.
I did get this one.
Is it or it's like
straight dynasty. Just keep everyone.
Dynasty, no redraft at all. Got it.
Well, you'll draft your FYPD stuff. How about this one? A friend sent me this one for his trade. Max Meyer and Mark Vientos for Brandon Nimmo and Joey Ortiz. Which side would you rather have there?
Max Meyer and who?
Mark Vientos
for
Brandon Nimmo and Joey Ortiz.
A week ago, I probably it's a dynasty league. I'm assuming
that one is redraft. That one is redraft league. Yep.
So then I still go Nimmo. I think Nimmo and Ortiz. I think Ortiz is only going to get more opportunities, and I think Nimmo has. I mean, especially lately, he's been so good. Whereas Vientos, there's still always the chance that he goes cold for a week and they send him down for Beatty. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
or he just loses that bat to someone else. Like, so there is that. Whereas Nimmo is pretty much locked in. He's going to play. So there is a little bit of a hesitation still I have with Vientos. As much as I told you should be picking him up, he was one of my waiver pickups. You know, ride him while he's hot. That's what we talk about with the waiver pickups all the time. But I would hesitate a little bit just because there's a chance he goes cold for 2 weeks and the Mets are like, see ya, we have Beatty, we have other options.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm a little concerned about Joey Ortiz with the neck injury. I mean, I know he's on the 10-day IL. Neck injuries could be a little scary. I'm not sure. And he was definitely cooling off a little bit. Sorry, go ahead.
No, for sure. I agree.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was a pretty fair idea, or just an offer. So something to roll over real quick.
All right. I did this full episode with my wrong microphone. My microphone wasn't on, so I apologize to everyone for that. And I should have picked up on it sooner because every time, that's why you couldn't hear me when I was talking over you.
Right, because your mic sucks and mine was superior.
So now this sounds great, right? Crystal clear.
Yeah, now you can talk over me.
I'm sorry, everyone. I still think it was a great episode. I will hose myself down. Until next time, everyone, please like and subscribe and share the podcast. We appreciate everyone who works hard on the show and everyone who listens. So until next time, see you.